Copshop is directed by Joe Carnahan and stars Frank Grillo, Gerard Butler, Toby Huss, and Alexis Louder. And in this story, it deals with these two criminals that get booked into this police station. And essentially, if you've seen from the trailers, it deals with Gerard Butler's character who's trying to kill Frank Grillo's character, and then Toby Huss's character comes in, also wanting to kill Frank Grillo's character, and inside this small police station. And it's up to a young rookie police officer that's played by Alexis Louder to pretty much, trying to fend him off, and trying to deal with the situation that's going on and everything. And it essentially becomes reminiscent of movies like Assault on Precinct 13. Now, here's a little backstory. Now, I actually do enjoy Joe Carnahan's movies. I haven't seen much of some of his movies. Like I haven't fully watched Narc, but before I watched that movie, I enjoyed it. But the ones that go to the most that I really enjoyed were Smokin' Aces and The Grey. And ever since I saw Smokin' Aces, I thought as a pretty underrated flick. It kind of got a vibe for this movie because essentially it's dealing with Gerard Butler's character and also Toby Huss's character that's all trying to go after Frank Grillo as basically the spot. And coming from the trailers of it, it seemed like it was kind of going into these gritty kind of like fun crime thriller type movies that we get almost every few years or so. And it seemed like it was kind of being on a double feature like Smokin' Aces. But upon seeing the film, much to my surprise, it actually went beyond more than that and became pretty much a throwback to the 70s crime thriller type movies like that we got like with Clint Eastwood's movies from that, like Magnum Force, or some of those other movies that hit that very gritty type of crime thriller type vibe, and that has that very like pulpy dialogue that feels very slick in that case. And which is funny because let's just say that this movie also came out the same weekend as Clint Eastwood's own movie, Cry Macho, and this one too also feels like a neo-western, but it also, surprisingly, it does actually a rendition of a score that's similar to Magnum Force from the second Dirty Harry film in the opening credits. So I thought that was kind of pretty cool they were doing a rendition of that. And upon seeing the film, I can say this is actually one of the best movies I've seen all year. And it's good to see movies like this that come out that are, still not, while being a tribute to a throwback to 70s crime movies, it still feels good to have a movie that just goes all out and has fun with it. And to get my pros out of the way, I liked all the performances of this. Not only did I really enjoy Gerard Butler in this film, but I thought that he had some really great, one-liners spewing out here and there, especially when he's talking shit to Frank Grillo. And I've always liked Frank Grillo as an actor, but it's great to see that he's playing a more kind of subdued type of guy that, in some ways, like it can kind of come across as very sketchy in some areas, but I just like the way that he was blending on bringing some nuance to the character. Because one of the other things I enjoyed was the fact that you get some build up with these guys of who they come from, where they come from, and everything. And then the movie does do a slow build up to getting to where it needs to be in the film, instead of just throwing everything out there. One of the other biggest standouts for me the most was Toby Huss. I thought he was like playing the crazy psychopath that comes in invading the police force. I thought he was great, and his personality is just like, it's almost in a way like he's channeling kind of like Joker mentality in that kind of field. Well, in a good way, because he plays it so like not only very funny, but also in a just it's unpredictable what the guy does next in the film. It's just really, he just had me cracking up, and I just really liked the way his character played out, and especially the way he's singing tunes to like I forgot what that song they played, but it was by I've heard it before. It was that one song I'm trying to remember, but it's by Curtis Mayfield, I think. And the other one I actually really surprised me the most was Alexis. What's her last name? Alexis Loudo or Landell. I'm sorry if I'm not getting her last name right, but she surprisingly was pretty good. I really enjoyed her performance. I'm not really familiar with her, but I thought her actually she really carries this movie a lot too with the other main the other main stars that we recognize. So I thought she was really great, and she actually really has like you know, I mean, she does kind of come across like at first as the typical rookie on the job, so to speak, like you see in other cop movies and stuff where they have that. But she brought some great personality to the role that I thought really worked, and a lot of her lines that they give her that feels very pulpy and very Tarantino-esque kind of quality in a good way. Really was funny, especially there was this part where she's using her revolver and she's kind of while doing some off time with one of her officers that she's hanging out with. They do this thing where they're kind of like pointing each other's guns and who can load first and everything, and spinning the gun and everything. I thought it was a pretty funny scene. I really enjoyed that, and that. I'm not going to spoil anything, but that actually later comes to play later on a part in that scene. But one of my other biggest standouts, one of the other biggest things I love the most is the fact that the movie really dives into, with it being in a one kind of like isolated setting, it really does fit the mood with what they were going for in this type of level, where the atmosphere really grows strong with. It feels like it has kind of like an independent type of vibe to it that, really makes it stand out in a good way. Like, it kind of reminds me like if you took, those movies that are more isolated, like Reservoir Dogs and things like that, and you see from like a couple flashbacks and some like certain dialogue to get to know the characters, and the way it builds it up I thought really was unique. And like when the shit gets in crazy in the second half of it, holy shit, this movie goes balls to the wall, and it becomes a lot of things that you're really not too sure like really who to trust, because there's moments where Alexis's character is very debating like who she can really count on, because she basically has two guys in this jail cell, and both of them, you're really debating like which one do you really like trust. Like it becomes a morality of compromise that the young officer has to go through, and I like the way that Joe Carnahan's direction pulled with that, because if I was in that situation I wouldn't really know which one to go with, because they're both pretty sketchy in their own right. And this all really plays out into the third act, where shit really gets like out of fucking nowhere with a lot of its twists and turns that I really didn't see coming a lot. Like, it gets some crazy shit where you think one character is doing something, but then the other character is doing another thing, and it's like, man, what do you do? That's what I love a lot. When that, to me, I think is really great filmmaking. How you really, push it to where when you're still invested with a story like this and the way it plays it out, it really is cool to not only have a fun, balls to wall, bloody as shit, fucking like shootouts throughout the film that are really, well timed, and a lot of it comes out of nowhere. But I just really like the way it played out in that kind of area. And the other thing too, it's great to hear. It's great to really feel this being a throwback of 1970s and I think even somewhat 80s throwback crime thrillers and stuff. Really holds it together. And I have yet to see Joe Carnahan's other film that he did, Boss Level, that I want to check out eventually. I might get to that probably sometime soon or maybe down the road, because that's one of the other film that came out of his that I really need to check out. But overall, I really highly enjoyed this film a lot, and there was some other like biggest things I didn't really see coming through the film that really threw me off. And with hardly that, I didn't really hardly have any flaws with it. And with that, I'm going to give this a phenomenal grade on the Film Freaks meter. I highly recommend, for those who haven't gotten a chance to watch it, to check it out. For those of you who have also seen Copshop, let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. And thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you later.